Good evening, everybody. There we go. It's been a little bit since we've had the opportunity to have a nice calm start to the stream, so to speak. Hope everyone's doing well. Everybody's having a good day. I know personally it was a very good day as well. Had the opportunity to get out with the family, extended family, go to a playground, let the kids run around for a while. May seem like little things, but they were having a blast, and that's all that matters. Always great to catch up with everybody as well. So all good, nothing too crazy. No roofs falling on me or anything today. Probably kill that AC though. There we go. Now it shouldn't sound like a motor happening behind me. Added on a little bit to the stream, of course. This is the 1 month mark of, or maybe last week was, but for sure now, is the 1 month mark of me streaming since my debut. And it's definitely been an experience, positive and negative, but at the end of the day, still having a good time. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's been something that I still look forward to. Doesn't sound or doesn't feel like it's a chore. So let's wipe Stuart in the background for it. There we go. You're good. But all has been well so far. Of course, game plan for today, like I was kind of saying before I went off on a tangent, but of course 1 month, so progress report of sorts, and I think it's just a good way to personally just reflect on what I've done. Whether this is something that I do every month or not, I'm still not 100% sure, but for now we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. So, before I really got started, before the debut and whatnot, like, I know technically, like, getting started on YouTube, you shouldn't necessarily do this, but it's hard not to, because learning how to YouTube, for example, how to be a YouTuber, in itself is a form of entertainment to some people. So, I did fall into the trap of watching a lot of YouTube gurus, trying to grow the channel as much as possible, while also making content I liked. And some things worked, some things have not, but while it did help, I am happy. I still want to keep growing though. So basically my game plan for the last month or so has been heavily reliant around YouTube Shorts, TikTok videos, and Instagram Reels, which all of them, for the most part, still, like, it just uses the same video. So it's not like I'm making 3 separate videos. I'm just making the one video and posting it on multiple platforms to get the most possible exposure. And a personal goal of mine was to have one ready to go out at 2 o'clock every single day. And I am very, very happy to say that was completely successful. If I were to look at my, actually, let's just take a look right here, right now. Screw it, we'll do it live. But if I were to hop on over to my desktop, oh, there goes the music, later. But if I were to hop on over to the desktop from July 31st all the way down to my actual debut, which was, of course, July 4th, the day after. So from the day after my debut, I had a shorts ready, lined up, and posted every single day. And to me, regardless of what the viewership says, that is a victory in its own right. Because I wanted to prove to myself that we could do it, and we absolutely did. First, a little bit of a mixture of some gaming stuff, but I've been very, very thankful that my past experience in collegiate esports did allow me to post some insight to people. Whether they like to hear it or not was a completely other thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit, but just happy about that part nonetheless. Through those shorts, of course, I've also been trying to find the opportunity to do a long-form video of some sort. And a few of them have been made. Outside of just the Illuvium casts, I've been able to do the one where I was able to speak my mind, speak my opinion about college and universities having esports academic programs and how I think negatively on it overall, to say the least, to put it nicely. For the most part, with the long form videos, like, there's been very few people that actually watched it, but of the people that do, they do seem to like it, and that's, at the end of the day, what I was really hoping for. So I'm here to inform, of course entertain at the same time, but first and foremost, I want to get it out there because I know I have a unique experience compared to what a lot of people have had the opportunity to do. Like, not many people out there even still can say that they've gone to school for esports and whether it was worth it or not to them. And just being able to give that experience to others is a blessing in its own right. Which then led to my other long form video that I did make, which was that tier list of what I found to be the most valuable esports going into 2025 and 2026. That one was a little more polarizing, to say the least, especially the shorts, the TikTok videos and Instagram reels that came from that, because that was an experience in itself. However, I know that it was impactful, and I'll explain why later, but that one got a little bit more views. Of course, I'm saying a little bit more views, but like, everything was under 100 from what I understand. So of the people that watched it, I hope that it was informative. Then after that, like, I still have some things that I can talk about specifically collegiate-wise. Like, going into this month, I do want to talk about specifically the broadcasting side of collegiate esports and what new broadcasters, commentators, observers should expect. Because very similarly to the player side of thing, which I still need to make a video on based off of the conversations I had during my debut, I think even. But what to expect, because every league for collegiate is different, and I want to try and clear the air as best as possible, as well as the expectations from a smaller, maybe not as well funded team compared to a super funded team, and what the expectations can be. I know I've been vocal about it a little bit here on the stream. My biggest goal, of course, when I was the esports broadcaster for what I would call a super funded school varsity program, my goal was to prove to the students that a family man can work full-time at broadcasting esports and be able to sustain their family. Part of me does feel like I've failed that. And especially the students on my last year and a half or whatever, got to definitely feel the worst of it. But that'll be a conversation for another time, I think. For more details, nonetheless. But I do have a couple of side topics here about my experiences I do want to go over. And first off is, let's start off with a positive. What was my favorite part about it? While getting into the swing of things, just chatting, whatnot, of course, like being able to commentate and do like solo productions for esports matches is what got me in esports in the first place. So being able to get back into casting has probably been my favorite part of it, and the fact that I am able to do it even though the location that I'm at and the home that I have is extremely small. And I always worried that being able to go full throttle on casting would make it difficult for the kids to sleep or something like that. But I've been happy to see that everything's been fine so far. So especially going into the very first Illuvium cast, I felt like my old self. And that's probably my favorite part so far. Obviously, like, the actual cast itself wasn't, like, perfect, but it'll never be. But especially going into the second one, that felt like good old times, so to speak. So I'm happy to have been able to do that and continue to do that here on the broadcast here, or on the stream. On the contrary, though, my most hated part, my most hated stream, was probably the Hero to Zero iRacing cast. Just a lot of things didn't necessarily go my way that stream. First off, the computer crashed right as I was getting ready to start the first race, and I had to download a bunch of extra software in order to get the overlay to work out. And then the format of randomness did not give me much opportunity to kind of study up on the races that I was watching and casting. And there's one point where, like, we got into a race late. Then the second race, the person who was supposed to be our hero ended up just disconnecting from the race entirely, so we had to switch to somebody else. And then only the third race really had any sort of highlights. But then what I also realized when I tried to make YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, or short form content, I'll just refer to it as short form content from now on, or vertical content. But when I tried to make vertical content for it, it was extremely difficult to fit the proper, like, framing to get all the cars in a vertical format. And that was the first stream that I had where I felt like I had absolutely nothing that I could make short form wise. And that kind of hurt, because at the end of the day, this stream here is my opportunity to not just connect with everybody here in the chat rooms, as well as like, entertain, but that's my opportunity to record for my videos. And if a stream does not hit, it means I also don't have short form content for it, which hurts me in the long run. But thankfully, the rest of the streams definitely made up for it, so I didn't put myself into a pickle. I was still able to do my one short form content video per day. Still was able to meet that goal. But that was probably my most hated part, was just the Hero to Zero. Of course, working with all the platforms, of course, I'm all over the place here, right? So I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Kick, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. Not streaming to all of them, but one way or another, I am a part of each of these platforms. And I had certain expectations going in from doing research on streaming and YouTubing, and my past experience, of course, with esports broadcasting. So I had some expectations as to what platforms would perform, and holy smokes, was I wrong about how this would end up looking, because the platforms that actually popped off were not the ones that I expected. So the most surprising thing that I've discovered from my first month here is how awesome Instagram's been. I did not expect Instagram to be a solid platform for collegiate esports talk or game highlights. However, it's been my best performing platform across all of my media channels. Like, if I hop on over here, for example, I don't think there's anything here that I'm worried about. Let's hop on over, actually. Kill the music again for us for a second. Let me pause, actually, and fix that, because that's going to bug me every time I flip-flop. There we go. As I get a bunch of notifications real quick. There you go. There. Heard the buzzing? No, that wasn't you, that was me. But yeah, to have built this channel from nothing and go to 62 followers in the month was pretty cool. But then in terms of viewership as well, like everything's outside of my first little bit. Like I was happy that my very first video with the Vaporeon stuff and memes from the debut, like everything was hitting around 150. Like that was pretty cool. I was excited about that. And it only went up to 200. The Counter-Strike video, I'm gonna talk about this thing later because this was an outlier in a positive way. As you can see, like 140 or 184 likes and 45 comments and like over 15,000 viewers on that one short alone, or one short form video alone was pretty sick. And we had a good spree there where we had about 1,000, if not more, on pretty much every short form video I made. And now I'm hitting around 300 again. A couple of them shoot up a little higher than that. And that's a-okay. This is still way more than I was expected. That is something that I'm still, even right now, extremely excited and happy about, because to be completely honest, going into this, I have two extremely niche interests right now, which is of course Illuvium and then collegiate esports. And to have been able to get a couple hundred doing so, if not multiple thousands, was absolutely wonderful. Need my other headphone to lock in here. There we go, that's better. I keep kicking the cat cage. Whoops, there we go. Okay. Next up, though, would be the most disappointing thing. So, of course, every content creator's one of their goals is to eventually reach monetization, and the easiest way to be able to do that is through either Twitch, Kick, or YouTube. Twitch probably being the easiest, but Twitch is also very, very game specific and like a different kind of culture overall. Kick, even more so. A lot of bots and whatnot that you have to worry about. But I was really having a lot of hope onto YouTube as well, because with having short form content constantly on there, having live streams onto the same channel, especially the fact that I gave notifications in the short form video as well, like, hey, this content creator has a stream coming up in a couple hours. So that's what my hope was. I would have a short come out at 2 o'clock and I would say, hey, there's a stream from this guy coming up in like 2 hours or 3 hours. You want to get notified? And of course, the end all be all, like, views isn't the main thing. It's not why I do this. But I was definitely expecting that YouTube would pull through for me here a little bit more than it has. And it's unfortunately been my most... that alongside TikTok have been both rather underperforming. Like if I hop to my shorts for the first little bit... Or no, let me show you rather the first couple. Because the go-to thing with especially a lot of the YouTube gurus that I would end up following would be like, okay, make sure you're using shorts, TikTok, and trying to cross-promote. And especially if you have lots of stuff happening onto your YouTube, making sure that the shorts kind of lead into the long-form content later on. And it started off actually really good. You could see like the first couple into the thousands, almost 2,000 here for the expose myself for liking school days. But of course, not every single one is going to hit the mark. Unfortunately, one only has the 10 there, but we were pretty steady for the longest time, like multi-hundreds, almost 1,000. And then I know YouTube made a change in late July that was targeted at trying to stop slop channels. And what I mean by that is just like people who take other people's stuff and re-upload it for themselves, or like just AI slop. Like I know with my kids being on YouTube, you'll oftentimes see AI slop where it's just a tiger or an elephant or something jumping to a pool of paint and then changing colors and then posting a meme sound effect at the end. Like, okay, like that's definitely AI generated or something along those lines, as the VTube studio character comes and says, hi, hello there. Trim that up a little bit. There we go. But I know there was a change around late July, and I feel like it hit a lot of VTubers pretty hard, because at the end of the day, I'm not a human face, right? I am technically a character. So at the end of the day, people could think that my content is completely AI and I am just a voice over text, but I figured that the way that I talk would prove that no AI could talk this poorly. I stutter and stumble and make up words like a madman. No AI can sound like they're having a stroke on stream as often as I do. So I'd hope that'd be evidence in its own right, but we can see here, like, talking about the collegiate stuff, almost like 500, almost 1,000. It's looking good, it's looking good. And all of a sudden we just run into a wall. Just like last week, where I'm talking about collegiate again, and then Pokemon, like theory crafting about that in particular. 92. Didn't even make 100. 11. Talking about collegiate again. 8. 35. Then the iRacing picked my paint job, made it above 100, and then my second most recent Illuvium clip made it to 200. But then, like today, this one right here, where I'm talking about a ramp fight popping off, 0. This thing's been up since 2 o'clock. And without question, even if I'm not necessarily like completely viewers and statistics driven, I think I've said it before, but there's nothing more intoxicating than watching those numbers go up. Nothing more paralyzing than watching them stagnate, and nothing more painful than watching them drop. And, like, of course, it is what it is. But it definitely plays on your mental a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Gonna obviously do some research, but I'm not going to like give up or change my style or anything like that unless there's something specific that I did. But definitely unfortunate, but we make do nonetheless. And then if I do take a look at TikTok, let me see if... So I was pretty surprised with how lackluster TikTok was as well. Not because of the peak, but because of the floor base, because, like, okay, there's the Vaporeon one. So it started off in the 200s as well, but there's a lot of these that, like, barely even break 50. A couple making it to the, like, 200s and whatnot. I had a good little spree, which, compared to other platforms where I'm getting excited over thousands, here we're barely even getting into the hundreds. And then, once again, there was something about Counter-Strike that just set everybody off, which again, I'll talk about in a little bit. Had a good little spree there with the collegiate stuff, but then again, once we get to my last couple, again, like I can't even necessarily, or the Valorant one here did over 600, meanwhile on YouTube it did like 10. And Call of Duty seems to have fallen a little bit. Everything's done poorly. Everything's pretty much done poorly ever since, so I don't know what I did. But there does seem to be a pattern, and since there is a little bit of a cross-platform pattern here of sorts, maybe there is something that I'm doing, but we'll keep trying. We'll figure it out. as best as we can. NASCAT had to say hello. Singing the song for people. So that was probably the more disappointing thing, just not being able to understand the platforms. Which is frustrating because considering my time doing collegiate esports as well, I thought I had a decent mindset on it. But things change. If you get complacent, then you're setting yourself up for problems. Just because you did something and it worked before doesn't mean it'll work now. And then in regards to... Oh, 1 second. All right, there we go. But in terms of the community, there's been a pretty interesting mix, of course, being with collegiate esports topics, and then as of late getting into Illuvium. The community definitely has reached out a ton, and I gotta say, like my favorite part of being with the community so far has been with the Illuvium community, because of course it's still a very, very niche game. Like if I can hop onto Illuvium and there's probably like 40 to 60 people playing the game during like peak hours, because it's still like super small. It's not been marketed really at all. They've just been the developers have been hunkering down and just trying to make the arena to a good point before they start marketing it, which is basically that point, and we'll talk about that part a little bit later. But seeing the community being happy that like I'm out here casting them, and then with Dreamers Esports as well, just being so open with me and happy to be seeing their tournaments that they would run. Of course, they're free-to-play tournaments, casted in the light that I do, has gotten a lot of positive feedback, and I'm definitely thankful for that. And I look forward to doing some more for the Illuvium community. On the contrary, though, the community's most hated thing has probably got to be my tier list of ranking most valuable esports going into 2025, 2026 in terms of collegiate. Because so many people do not either know what the word collegiate means or just don't bother reading at all. You'd seen how on Instagram and on TikTok had like 11 comments. Instagram had 40 something on just the one video. But across that entire series of the tier list, so many people were being offensive, to say the least. I've gotten many slurs thrown at me, many hateful comments, to say the least, especially from the Counter-Strike community, because in professional esports, Counter-Strike is probably a top 3 esport. But because it's not called attack and defend, and because it's called terrorists and counter-terrorists for their sides, it does not translate into collegiate at all. A lot of colleges just straight up won't support it because of that, right? And because of that, it did not sit very high on my tier list. It got put into overshadowed, so not the very bottom of the barrel, but pretty low. And people did not like that, because they would just come in scrolling off of their Instagram reels, see that I put Counter-Strike into a low tier spot, think that I'm talking about professional, even though it's plastered all over the video that this is for college and university or collegiate esports, and they would say some hateful crap, man. Like, it was probably the least amount of fun I had about this content stuff so far. Just completely disregarding my knowledge because, well, if there was one person in particular who, like, would ask if I'm mentally ill, to put it nicely, and then it's like, oh, of course your opinion doesn't matter because you like Pokemon. Like, why the hell does that even make a difference with anything? But my mind was boggled in the amount of times that I had to copy and paste my response about this being for college and university. My tier list for strictly professional play would look much different. And to be fair, some people after that would apologize and realize, like, oh, okay, this actually makes sense then, sorry. But that was maybe only a couple. But the sting is still there, but that's a part of informing people, right? Is telling them the stuff they don't want to hear, and especially with that tier list. I was saying a lot of things that people did not want to hear, because I'm basically taking probably your favorite game and telling you why it's not worth pursuing. So the dislike ratio, especially on YouTube, was definitely pretty considerable. Pretty large. But again, I know when I see a dislike, I'm striking a nerve, which means that they're paying attention, at least in my book. The one thing that did make things unfortunate, though, is like a lot of people thought that I was rage baiting, where you intentionally put something that's popular at the bottom to try and make people get angry and post comments. And no, that is not at all what I was trying to do. This is just genuinely how I feel about the current landscape based off of my experience and based off of what's getting supported or not. But it reminds me how small collegiate esports still is, though, because nobody, or very few people, can think outside of esports or outside of pro esports when you mention esports in general. It's just strictly professional. I'll make my comments and it's like, oh, do you see the, like, dude, you're an effing moron. Do you see the salaries that these players are making? It's like, yeah, collegiate players don't make that salary, and that's what this tier list is based on. And it's still such a new thing that it's not coming across in people's mind. And I mean, even when you think of traditional sports, like your mind immediately goes to like your NFL, your NHL. You know the college stuff exists at least, but like I couldn't tell you a player who plays college or anything like that. Heck, nowadays I could probably hardly even tell you who a professional player is. Don't ask me who, don't ask me to name a NBA player outside of LeBron James. But that's just me. I'm a little bit disconnected in that regard. Yeah, that was probably my most disappointing, or the most disappointing part of the community for specific stuff, but it is what it is. Not everything can be positive. So my plans for August. I do still want to have the opportunity to talk about, again, broadcasting with collegiate esports and the things you have to worry about for each league, as well as my mindset on like how to broadcast collegiate in general. Because I'll put it bluntly, the way that I would do it is not this suit and tie style that so many leagues, so many programs like aim for to try and get awards for. Because here's the effed up thing, right? Because these, I'll just kind of rant for a second. The broadcasts that are winning these like nationwide college esports broadcasting awards are doing so while getting like 20 views or like 20 concurrent viewers. which for myself, at least personally, I'd love to have 20 concurrent viewers on my own personal stream. But these are broadcasts that have millions or thousands, if not millions of dollars put into their broadcasting studios, and they are pulling in 20 views, and anything above that is probably botted. For at least regular season. You occasionally, for certain playoff games and your big events, you might be able to trickle into like 70. Some of your big LAN events, you might be able to get into the hundreds. But I know, looking around on Twitter, like people have been talking about Twitch changing their crackdown on view botting. I know one person that I follow in particular, Devin Nash, marketing guy who's worked with sponsors and when I've been on streaming platforms for a long time, is just straight up calling out Twitch for their top streamers probably having 40 to 50% of their viewership being view bots based off of his research. And that is pretty alarming. So the whole point of this whole tangent is that yes, like these broadcasts are winning awards, but they're not building a following, if that makes any sense. And I feel like there's a certain personal aspect that's missing, a certain kind of connection that's missing. And I'll go a little bit deeper into it when we get to the actual broadcast stream itself. I can probably go all day talking about it, all stream talking about it. But there were a lot of things that I wanted to try that I did just kind of get stiff-armed on. Because mainly the players just wouldn't allow me to do it. And we'll get there. Some things have to change, but we'll get there. So in regards to the rest of the plans, so outside of my experience in collegiate esports, I think, and I've been debating it for a little bit, but outside of my collegiate esports talk, I think I am going to all in on Illuvium. I don't mind this being completely public knowledge, my strategies and whatnot. If anything, if people want to copy it and do it, it means that there's more content for the game, which is a benefit for us all. But taking a look at things right here, right now in Illuvium, the arena has gotten to a point where it's at a strong, fun, playable state. And when you look around on YouTube right now, or any sort of like video platform, if you search up Illuvium, you find mainly, if it's gameplay, it's from like 2 years ago. Anything that's not from 2 years ago is one of two things. Either it's Illuvium's own streams, where they're doing their town halls talking about the development of the game, which is fantastic, and I definitely hope they keep doing that. But it's all talking about the crypto token. And is it worth it, calling things scams, or like just talking about pricing and can you get rich quick off of it and whatnot. You don't see nothing about the game itself. And there is a big hole that is waiting to be filled, and I'm ready to jump in with both feet. And why Illuvium? So outside of there being that hole, and of course, like what I was saying before, I've been following Illuvium. I might have said on the stream before, but I've been following Illuvium for about 3 years now. I had accidentally, or not even accidentally, I had watched a M&J TV Pokemon video where Illuvium was the sponsor of it. And I found it through that, and I fell in love with the concept of there being a city builder tied in with an open world-esque or like MMO style, running around and capturing creatures kind of style, alongside the teamfight tactics, auto chess style of battling. I absolutely love that idea, and it's something that I wish that I would see with other titles, like say Pokemon, for example. It's something I wish I had seen them do. Have it like interconnected more so than it already is. So I fell in love with the idea of it and been following it ever since, especially since the land sale, where I did pick up one piece for Illuvium Zero. And then I've just been following ever since. It's not been all pretty though, of course. I'd be lying to you if that was the case. Like, my favorite part of Illuvium way back in the day was called Ascendant Mode, where there's the arena like battle style, but you weren't switching who you were playing against over and over again each round. You would always be going up against the same person in a one-on-one. And I loved that game mode. I loved being able to bring my own team with my own Illuvials that I caught or bought, and like play enough games to the point where I know, okay, turn one, I do this, so on and so forth. If I'm playing up against this team, I have to change and do this. I basically had my own build order, my own strategy, very, very similar to a card game. And I just loved being able to guarantee myself that I was playing my grass types, my nature types with the wildfire perk and the verdant perk, and just being an unstoppable, like indestructible wall that slowly burned you down over time. Being able to play that every single time was awesome, even if it wasn't very good. Like, I just enjoyed having my own creatures with my own strategy, one-on-one. They removed that game mode from the game and went all in on the teamfight tactics style that you see now, where it's the random creatures given to you versus 8 people. That hurt. I was sad. And I still enjoyed the game a lot. Not as much fun as I had in Ascendant, but like, I enjoyed it. I took a little bit of a cool down for a little while. I watched the development logs and whatnot, but I didn't really necessarily play for a while. But came back about a year or so ago and just played a lot more of the Gauntlet mode, the free-to-play auto chess style game mode, and genuinely enjoyed it. Again, still not as much as Ascendant. And then they did something that made me even more upset, to be honest. With Illuvium Zero, like how I had said that I had a piece of land, which is an NFT, of course. So I had learned the whole crypto system, how to actually work with NFTs, and I had my land that was generating certain types of fuel, which I can then use into the overworld to allow me to catch stuff, catch my own creatures. They eventually changed the way that it worked so that fuel was now 1 resource instead of 3, which was good. However, this entire time, I had been banking the fuel that my plot was making and then moving it over into my overworld's like storage. And what they ended up eventually doing was like, okay, we're changing it down to this 1, and there's a certain ratio of, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had thousands. I had thousands of fuel. Of the, like, each fuel type, there's 3 fuel types that I didn't use for building my own base. I had saved it so when the next set or something came out, I can go and like get a head start and catch things. I watched pretty much that entire fuel source from easily 6,000 fuel get turned into 400, which doesn't even get me 1 run at the current highest stage of Overworld. That pissed me off, I will not lie. I understand why they had to switch things into the 1 fuel mode, but losing so much of each individual fuel when I could have kept it on my land and been building this entire time. If I only knew that's where it was going, like, that would have Or I knew it was eventually getting turned into the 1, but I didn't realize it was going to get cut that hard. That hurt. So, while I am all gung-ho for Illuvium, like, I'm not going to act like there's been no problems this entire time. And even now, like, I have those lands for Illuvium 0, and frankly, Illuvium 0 has been put onto the back burner. And this is, of course, the city builder that I'm talking about still. Which, understandably so, 0 is meant to be the support for the main things that you would play, not main, like, 0 is not the main game itself. This all makes sense eventually, a little bit more one day, but to say the least, it definitely sucked. But over the last year or so, I've hopped right back into the Illuvium Gauntlet, played a lot more. Got a little competitive with it as well, entered a couple tournaments, won one even. And have been thankful to earn a little bit in that time, but I'm not playing to earn crypto or earn money. I'm just happy to play the game. The prizing's a bonus to me. And with that, for my plans for August, I will be all-in on Illuvium. I think there is a timing here where they're just about to start marketing the game. And like I was saying before, nobody is making content about Illuvium, about the game itself, really. Anybody who's making content about the arena is just kind of playing it as they happen to be recording or something along those lines. Next to nobody is doing esports content for it. And if they are doing content for it, it's probably not in English. So I see the opportunity. This could absolutely crash and burn. And what will more than likely happen that I foresee is that, worst case scenario, this just gets absolutely next to nothing, and my streak of having videos that hardly get 10 views will continue. But in the best case scenario, maybe it starts off slow. But as Illuvium starts marketing and more people start playing, people are going to want to fixate in on the game and then want to start watching content about it. Which in theory, hi, here I am, I'm already here. Kind of already started doing that with the last couple of competitive casts, and I've got, of course, another one that I'll fire up in about 15 minutes time. Or in a few minutes time, maybe not 15 minutes, but that'll be the goal. And at worst, or no, sorry, in a best case scenario, it happens to work out solid. Illuvium, it gets more eyeballs on it thanks to the marketing. They happen to see my content while I'm posting. They enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. Illuvium's happy for the extra eyeballs on the content, and it's just a win-win-win all around. Worst case scenario, it just doesn't take off. Oh, screw it, it's okay, I'm having fun anyway. And we can at least say we tried. And then the middle case scenario is that, sure, the views maybe do tick up, but then Illuvium doesn't actually perform. That's always a risk as well. We do see that a lot around the Web3 space for Web3 gaming, where these companies go extremely hard into making a game, promoting the ecosystem, trying to sell as much as they can, then all of a sudden, hey, yeah, guys, guess what? Our studio's closed. So it's always a risk. I'd like to say that Illuvium's different, but I don't want to be naive. They do a good job of still staying in the community and talking about development logs, and they've probably been the most upfront and public in regards to their financials and their plans and everything like that. So I am optimistic, but it's always a risk. Water break, 1 second, sorry. But yeah, just to wrap that part up. So my plan going into August is to be pretty heavy on Illuvium, whether it be casting, or maybe I'm using these streams as an opportunity to record for some long-term stuff. Get to know the creatures maybe, get to know their abilities and whatnot. Because that's one thing that I've noticed about auto battlers in general. It kind of has the Overwatch treatment where there's a lot of things happening on screen with a lot of different variables, but from an outsider's point of view looking in, it's just visual diarrhea. Lots of creatures moving around the screens, lots of abilities being thrown around all over the place. Especially in the later rounds when everybody starts getting like 10 or more moving pieces. It can be a lot, so if I can help by at least making somebody understand one creature, or one alluvial, and then eventually learn another, and another. And then maybe eventually the pieces start coming together, and more people will be able to understand what's going on as a whole, or at least from the outside looking in, they'll at least be able to remember, oh, I remember that one because it does this thing. My goal with esports in general for broadcasting, I guess we'll kind of bounce back to this, but it's never been to cast for the gamer. Which sounds stupid as hell, but bear with me for a second, because for the most part, the gamer is going to know what's going on no matter what. And they are here to watch the results, watch a player play or something like that, and just be entertained in the process. The friends and family members, though, of the people that are either competing or watching are the ones that need the assistance, though. Like when I was in collegiate, it was always about, I would always cater my cast specifically to the friends, family, classmates, students, or somebody outside of the gamer themselves. And certain people don't like that. Like certain stream watchers that are gamers or are professionals don't like it because I'm not breaking things down into the most strategic detail, or I'm not saying the abilities names correctly or being like truly authentic about what their abilities are doing. But by using layman's terms, like I'm not gonna call something a superpower high jump kick or something when I could just call it a kick. So just to kind of like as a very, very basic way of thinking, like a powerful shattery orb of death or whatever is just an orb, or it's a spell or something along those lines. I always try to cater my casts to a way that everybody can understand, and I want to be able to bring that into Illuvium. So that's what we're gonna do. We've got our cast here today, and then I also have something special for tomorrow. So, Illuvium's first way of marketing is going to be a big tournament that's happening tomorrow. I think it's starting at 10 in the morning. But this is the first time where they're going to be using alluvials where their stats aren't all equal. There's a specific game mode called Leviathan where it plays out the exact same that we've been watching so far. But each alluvial, of course, has its own different stats, so somebody can have two of the same creature, but one could be better in attack while the other one is better in defense, to put it simply. And this is where the value comes from all those people who went out into the overworld and actually caught their own alluvials, because those are the ones that get used. So this is like the first real experience where those people are like really rewarded. And there's a lot of eyes on it, and I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to start doing some recordings around 10, see if I can hop into the lobbies and record them. But later on, I might be able to stream a couple of the final matches. And normally I don't stream on a Saturday, but I feel like this is too good of an opportunity to pass up on. My wife and kids ended up getting some plans. I swear to God I didn't shove them out the door, but they happen to have gotten some plans, which is going to allow me to at least cast the middle, if not like the tail end of the tournament, and we'll see how that goes. I definitely want to see how it goes now that it's the Leviathan game mode and all the stats are different. I'm very, very intrigued about that. But of course, that is tomorrow. Probably around noon, 1 o'clock is when I'll try and do the live portion. I'll still be up and at 'em doing some recording prior to that, but I don't want to... I just don't want the kids to be running around screaming in the background while trying to guest. So I'm not going to go live, and I'm not going to try and keep them quiet, of course. That's not fair to them and not fair to everybody listening, so we will make do with what we got. One thing that's been kind of funny, though, my oldest has been watching me do these recordings for the Illuvium cast, and he sees the little characters and is like really excited about them, and he's getting hyped, say, when the Riplance little scorpion does his little stabby and whatnot. And he's starting to sound very, very similar to me when talking about games. Seeing him pick up Hot Wheels cars or monster trucks, and he's got the same kind of voice, doing announcing with his monster trucks, doing announcing with his Hot Wheels. It sounds very, very similar to me doing this. It's a little heartwarming, I'm not gonna lie. But in regards to the progress report part of the stream, that is pretty much it. We've definitely had some highs and lows, but at the end of the day, stats aren't why I do this, viewership numbers aren't why I do this. I do it because I enjoy it. And that's still the case. So we're going to keep going. And of course, one of those ways is, of course, through the arena itself. So let's move locations here. All right, we're back here in the Illuvium Arena. If I were to give myself hell for one thing, though, I do not have a hyped up stream playlist right now. I'm very, very thankful. Dysum, or DYSMN, has these 2 tracks that I'm allowed to, or not allowed to use, but I've been using for a little while. But I need to get a pump-up mix of some sort. So of course, the game plan now here with this Daydream tournament. So these are the same tournament that I had been casting the last 2 times. However, there is something a little bit special here with this one tonight. And that is because the Dream Ladder ends after this tournament. The Dream Ladder itself is basically like a season-long thing. So across, I think, 8 or 10 or 8... about a month worth of tournaments. Your finishing positions all go towards this ladder. And if you happen to be near the top, there are bigger prizes paid out in USDC that you can be in there for. So a lot of the people that we've been watching before, so say like Neriba, Detective Alanay, OLAs like Frodo, Motorstormer, Alnert, Ma. There's a few people that are really relying on one more good tournament here to bump themselves up this ladder. I'm Looking forward to seeing how this grand final ended up turning out. I was out and about, so I couldn't get the quarterfinal or semifinal. But that's a-okay. It's all about grands anyway. Let's see how this thing concludes. And this will be like a nice little warm-up, not only for the players before tomorrow, because we'll probably see a lot of the same faces. But a little bit of a warm-up for myself as well. So without further ado, get this set up one final time here. And let's hop into it. Was pretty quiet there for a second, but I think we're good now. So here we go, the final Dreamers Esports Daydream tournament here for Illuvium Arena. Let's do that again because my VTube Studio character, or not character, the VTube Studio character decided to come say hi once again. Floating on through. I don't know if it's because I'm streaming in a different resolution. I got it a little bit clearer here this time finally. That's okay. Let's do that one again. So, for the final time this season here for Dreamers Esports, the Daydream tournament for Illuvium Arena is now upon us once again. Grand finals here as we start things off with TDQ and OLA Frodo, two players that we've been seeing multiple times, as we are of course on the Shard Bluff realm, or not realm, the region. So we had seen a little bit in the last event on Tuesday how regions can kind of change things up based off of the augments, and we're going to see that once again, because every single time we have a carousel round, every item that the Illuvials are carrying are going to be legendary items, so the best things that you can possibly get. So it means that people are going to be able to build out their teams to their fullest potential so much easier, as we are seeing Frodo and TDQ fire away here. The nature versus the air, so to speak, hopping on in here. That Valente from the side of Frodo, hanging on by a thread, but still gets its damage done. Run away, kites away, just has to deal with the Atipo. And that is going to be Frodo picking up where they left off. Of course, Frodo, you're victor from the last tournament. But let's see everybody else here that we happen to have in this grand final. Alnerds, we got Frodo, Ma has returned as well. Of course, we got TDQ, Ole's Neraba has returned as well, alongside Nefer, Detective Alane, and then new here, Zico Perico. Not new to the ladder. I do see they've had about 5 to 6 tournaments under their belt here in this ladder, but it's the first time I've seen them here in this top 8 over the last couple of matches. Zico Perico over there on the red side. Meanwhile, on the green side, I cannot see the drones, unfortunately, bodying myself in that regard. The one thing that I'll be keeping an eye on are these Lynxes. Of course, I absolutely love the Lynx, because every single match they end up being something different. They can be a rogue, they can be a spellcaster, or they can be a tank. It all depends on the round, as we're seeing Zico Perico take some damage here. That must be Neraba, because I think he's the only one I know that has that blast animation. And then, of course, take a look. So, the one thing that I'm going to personally be keeping an eye on alongside these Dark Hollows once again, which of course I do have to give the shout out again. While I may not be sponsored by Illuvium or sponsored by Dreamers Esports, I do want to say some things about the game here and there. It sounds like an advertisement, but it's just me trying to clarify. So when you see the shiny versions, the hollow, the ones where they're either rainbow or the darker rainbow kind of colors, those are the ones that you actually have to go into the overworld itself to go and capture, which does have a bit of a paid aspect to it. However, in order to play Illuvium Arena, you do not need to do that. You can just hop into the game and you'll have all of the creatures available to you no matter what. The only thing that the overworld is needed for is for Leviathan, which we'll see tomorrow when the different stats do matter. Otherwise, if it's not Leviathan, it's just the regular game mode that we're seeing right now. It's all just cosmetic. So you can pick up the game whenever and you'll be on the same playing field or same level as some of our players that you see here in the Grand Final. Definitely want to make that part clear because a lot of people, again, it's Web3, which means it's usually pay to win kind of games. Not here, not in this game mode. Taking a look at our leaders right now, Owlnert and Frodo. Frodo? That's one thing that I've been kind of second guessing myself a little bit on. Frodo. Last two players here sitting at 100. Perfect 100, have not taken any damage yet here. You got Earth, Dust, and Air, so not only are you tanky, but you can also dodge and blind, which isn't necessarily too bad when you're dealing with the rogues coming out here from Frodo. And that Link's getting targeted extremely quickly. So does Allura on the side of Frodo. Goes down. Goko in the back line dealing with the supports. The Rhoda is back there as well trying to deal with it. Meanwhile, in the middle, we do see the Gorilla trying to get and dip and dodge away from so many. The blind is going to be able to help them out, but they are eventually going to be outnumbered. And does end up taking them down at the end of the round here. Owlnert's going to take the first damage there. And Rogues and Revenants was the idea that they were going for. Take a look at our next one here. We shall roll along with Ma, who just won a tournament about a week ago. It would have been a week ago today, yeah. Versus Nefer, who is in the running, I do believe, to be in that top 8 of the Dream Ladder. He's like right there. He's like around 9th or 10th right now. Same thing with Ma around 7th, looks like. Ma opting for the tanky fighter kind of aspect, does have that Gorilla stage 2 as well, so it has evolved once. And the painful thing about this Gorilla is that how it blinks around the arena and just zips all over the place. It's specifically targeting out the Illuvials that have the lowest physical defense. So anybody that does not want to have an assassin jump at them, it's looking for you, and it's coming for you immediately. And we're seeing that being used to perfection here by Ma, as Nefer is going to take the L on this one. Always Frodo and Nereba. Of course, that was the grand final round in the last tournament that we did see. Gonna have to play each other again, but this time we're gonna see Nefer once again, but this time up against Detective Aline, who is opting for a balance between bulwarks and fighters. Of course, the more fighters you have here at certain thresholds, as you see on that left-hand side, so the 3 fighters, that buffs up your attack speed. And we do see up at the very, very top, the Lynx is actually a fighter, so it is going to benefit from this attack speed buff. And of course, Lynxes in general tend to be rather tanky, so the fact that this thing's a fighter and does some decent damage as well is going to be scary here for Nefer to try and deal with. So far, so good, though. The baby Lynx trying to take out the big Lynx, not going to end up going for it. There goes the Bull, finally taken down. Very, very close battle here. Valente goes down, the Ranger goes down, just has to deal with the Revo. But that Lynx, again, is an absolute beast, and it is going to be able, alongside its Ranger, take care of Nefer once again here. Does have the item as well to do more damage to shielded targets. And if I recall correctly, the one on the left there above its head is also in regards to splitting its damage among 3 targets. So every time it punches something, it gives a little bit of extra damage to the stuff that surrounds it. So a nice little strategy here for Detective Aline. Detective Alané, actually, I believe, is one of the players near the top of the ladder. Currently shown in first, so would love to see that. And actually, if I take a peek again one more time here, it is Detective Alané and Neraba that are actually neck and neck here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, considering they're both in this grand final. Taking a look at some of the alluvials across the board here. On the right-hand side, Muzz opted for the granite-earth combination. So anything that's granite is going to be completely invulnerable for the first couple of seconds in this battle. Meanwhile, on the green side, we do have empaths and rogues. So an interesting mixture of damage and supportive shields as we get into this battle. We are kind of highlighting it a little bit earlier. The TNT is going to be firing off the missiles in the background. Here it goes, launches them up, and it is going to get that Groko extremely low. The Lynx on the green side hanging on by a thread as well. But with all the red ones dying here for Ma, it is up to the Apon and the TNT to plow through this. But I don't think they have the firepower to really get this one done. TNT, one more shot, going to eliminate two. No, just the one. And eventually he's going to run out of firepower. And this one is going to go over to Alnert, knocking Ma down to 67. Overall, the rough start here for Zico Perico, Nefer, and Mob. Everybody else hanging on decently. Frodo is the only one still at a perfect 100. As we take a look during this NPC round at some of the firepower across the board here. The shiny, this hollow Lynx with, of course, the Ion Shroud. Take a look at some of the items while we're going through here, trying to understand things. So whenever you see that little yellow orb on that we see on the left-hand side here, once that alluvial drops below, I believe it's 30% health, it becomes untargetable. So anything chasing it looks for a different target. So especially as you go into the later stages, it could be critical. And hang on a minute here. Round 12, we have a stage 3 Lynx here. This relentless Zephyr Lynx. This thing is going to be an absolute menace. How I was talking about before that the stage 2 Lynx was tanky. This thing is even tankier, 2,600 health, and it has items on top of it, not only to make it a little bit tankier, but to do even more damage. As a Link that's a fighter, this thing is going to crush. I look forward to seeing this thing in action a little bit more. Neraba setting themselves up for success here. So we look around the board. We do have always Frodo up against Detective Alané. We have the mixture of rogues and empaths does have the Lynx as well, like I was saying before, with that extra split damage. The Revo's loaded up with attack damage items, attack speed as well. The Revo, of course, a little hedgehog looking thing, is one of the few rogues out there that does actually shoot from afar once it jumps across. But it looks like they actually swapped it up here for the stabbing. So this is the level 2 or stage 2 Penguin Assassin. And they're going to need as much firepower as possible. We do see the big Axodon on the right-hand side, usually one of the tankier creatures in the game, but you see he's getting focused down for a little while. There's Rampy nearly going to be able to finish it off. The Riley goes down, the Lynx is about to go down, Axodon goes down, and the Rogues are doing exactly what they need to do. They are finding their targets, they're focusing their targets, they're bursting it down quickly. And that is going to be another one here for Ole's Frodo, completely shredding on through. One thing I've been trying to do here in these battles is as the battle itself is going on, I switch out the affinity and class things on the side, or the health bars on the right hand side, to show combat damage. So if you want to see which alluvials are doing the most damage, be sure to take a look as the battle's happening, peek on over. Once the battles are done, I'll try to keep them there as well, for at least a little bit. This time we're going to join Zico Perico as well, going up against Ma. We've got the 5 bulwarks here, so anytime that Zico Perico hits one of the opposing bulwarks, a little bit of damage comes back to them, and it makes it even more devastating considering they've already found the Scarabak that we see here on the left-hand side, one of the better tanks in the game, does have the Crunk, though, for the side of Zico Perico, who has opted to one of my favorite playstyles as well, the 5 Bulwarks. So same thing, reflective damage with the empaths. They got the Wildfire as well, so every single time that Crunk fires off its ability, it's going to set something on fire right next to it, do a little damage, and heal itself at the same time. But here we go, the green gorilla up in the top, finding the squishy members. You got the, oh geez, the Scarabok ability there coming from the left-hand side. Just went across the entire team, stunning them up. They try to answer it with their own, but it looks like this one is not going to be going in the way of Zico Perico. Taking a look at the damage numbers, the Ranger on the green side actually doing the most damage, nearly doubling the damage from last time. So Mud doing a fantastic job there. 7 Earths, 2 Granites. But now, of course, in the carousel round, this is the first one we're going to be able to actually hop on in and watch. But all of these abilities that these Illuvials are carrying are some of the best in the game. Normally you only get maybe 1, maybe 2 if you're lucky. Whether it be putting a ton of health onto your tank, making it have reflective damage, making your spellcaster do a ton of damage, giving your melee, like your fist fighter, extra range on their hits. There's a bunch of juicy stuff there that we'll try to go through as we see them on the field. We're gonna hop along here. Alnert alongside OLA Naraba. Alnert opting for Rogues alongside Empaths. Does have that fully loaded Ramphy here, getting energy regeneration, so it gets ability faster, additional attack speed, and then additional Omega power. So that Ramphy on the red side, rather, I'm calling it for Alnert, but no, this is Naraba. Wants that Ramphy to dive on in and basically just one-shot things with the amount of damage it has loaded into that. You see it jumping on into the bottom left-hand corner. Revo gonna try and come in and take it down, but it doesn't have enough damage. It's going for the wrong target, and it is gonna get melted down. That Ramphy doing exactly what you want it to do. They do have, of course, to deal with that big old stage 3 Lynx as well, but it's all up to this T-Roo here trying to go up against the Lynx. A little bit of a one-on-one battle up and towards the middle, but now the Lurker has come on in to try and spoil the party. But hang on, this Lynx is hanging on by a thread. The fighter of the Ranger in the bottom left-hand corner as well, getting involved to make that a bit of an unfair fight. So big win there for, I believe that was Naraba, putting him in the top 3 as of right now. If there's one thing that I gotta call myself out for with my camera work, I love this side-by-side style much better compared to the up and down style in terms of being able to see the whole battlefield. But the problem is I always lose track of the nameplates. And it is very, very difficult for me to apparently remind myself who's on what side here. I call myself right now, like I can't remember who is in the green this time, even though I swear I had just talked about it. But Never End His Rogues also has that Ramphy completely loaded with damage items, looking for that ability to pop on up in just a moment's time. Up to the skies, but up against the tank. Gonna take them down about halfway. The foe in the background getting extremely low, but has the support of the Archos to try and keep it alive. TNT, pop the missiles, fires them off. One more time from the Ramphy. This time it's going to be able to take 3. Deer in the background alongside the TNT, and the front line holding strong. Is that going to be enough? Can we get a third pop-up? We absolutely will. And the rest of the squad here for Nefer is going to come on in clutch. Gear, what's going on? Good to see you in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Of course, for the YouTube squad that sees us after the fact, these matches are casted live, so you're, of course, more than welcome to come join in whenever you wish. One thing I'm very surprised at here for Fruto as we take a look at another NPC round, not a lot of people are willing to invest in the T-Roo line, so that's the one that looks like a bit of a kangaroo that has a Joey as well. We hardly ever see that thing used, it feels like, especially never really getting items at all. Like, they're not investing heavily into it. What we do often see, though, is like the stabbing right here. Has that attack speed item, has the true damage on top of it as well, and the fact that their attacks deal a percentage of target's health is definitely strong. Change my Discord name, yes. All-in, or doing a bit of an all-in on my, on it being me. On it being silent, absolutely. Now this is going to be nasty. This Gnarl right here has 2 adaptive reflectors. So basically every single time this thing gets hit, it gets additional resistances. And because they have the Bulwark perk, as we see behind my head here, every time you hit it, of course, like I was talking about earlier, every time that Bulwark gets hit, it reflects some damage back based off of its resistances. So it's gaining a bunch of resistances, pumping a bunch of damage right back at you, going up against these rogues of OLA's Fruto. And the Gnarl is exactly where they want to be. They immediately catch the dash, and they have the backup as well of the Crunk, but the Crunk very well might end up falling here as the Rampy jumps to the skies. But you can see even after the Rampy ability, that Gnarl is still sitting there at about half health. The Blind's going to be making things a little bit difficult here for the red side. Roots coming on through. This Gnarl just won't die, not even to the Penguin. And it stands tall, doing the most damage on the team, even though it's a tank. Absolute massive menace here. The Fur Knight short to follow as well. Yeah, absolutely happy to have you on the, happy to have you here as well. Glad you're able to make it. You're probably one of the first times you got to actually see me cast this, I think? Maybe? I'm not quite sure. It does remind me though, one of the things that I have to do is find a spot to put the chat on the video itself here. Now this is going to be a little bit of a menace here on the green side. We've got the Adoro alongside the Forest, so a fist fighter alongside a big old healer. Meanwhile, on the opposite side here for Ma, we do have the Sephora's, which is a fully leveled up snail. TDQ hoping that those missiles don't end up flying towards the Forest before Heal can get to it. Mud does, of course, have that gorilla, though, that is looking for the squishies. It's going to jump immediately onto the deer, onto the healer. Here comes the missiles, and that Forest is extremely low. It's going to be able to take down the one tank, but the Axon is right there, shielded up, trying to deal with it. The heals are going to come on through. It's hanging on by a thread. It's in the range of the Archos heal. It is barely out of range now. It is going to end up falling. So we have a lot more missiles coming on through here from the Sephora's on the right-hand side. Gorilla is still dealing with that dang deer up in the left-hand corner. Sustaining, but just barely. It's a lot of low health bars, and finally, it looks like Ma's gonna be able to tear on through and get the win here onto TDQ, knocking them onto death's door. I stream on the day that you have things planned. Sorry. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to tune in when you can, nonetheless, and I thank you for that. Alright, with TDQ being on death's door, it's time to follow along and see if they can hang on here. Definitely have a tall task ahead of them, though. They may have the bulwarks, they have fighters, they have empaths. However, on the opposite side, full fighter firepower alongside the lone ramp fight as well. And if we've seen anything over these past couple of matches, the last couple of streams, we know how absolutely disgusting a well-placed ramp fight could be, and it's aiming directly towards the center. It's exactly where it wants to be. It's fully loaded up on items as well. Even if it gets focused down, it has the item to get untargetable. Jump to the skies, why don't ya? All of them are gonna get chunked to half, if not taken down. And now it's just up for the fist fighters to just clean up the job. 07s in chat here for TDQ, as they will end up falling, being our first ones eliminated here in this grand final. I mean, a solid run nonetheless to be able to get to the grand finals and get into 8th, but it's one of those scenarios that even personally I've gotten myself into where you're just kicking yourself afterwards. Just something doesn't go quite right, doesn't go in your favor, and you've come so far. But a top 8 is still a fantastic day nonetheless. OLA Naraba now up against Nefer. We see the Monarch coming out here for Nefer. So whenever the ramp fight or the Monarch uses their ability, we're going to see some sparks flying across the arena, and that's just going to be doing damage over time to the entirety of that green squad. But again, that tier 3, or not tier 3, but that stage 3 Relentless Zephyr Lynx is going to be absolutely tanky as heck, while also dealing a ton of damage, leading the squad there for that green side. Monarch AC 130 flying on through alongside the ramp fight. Gonna be a bit of an even battle. Jumping up here for the red side. That's 2 more down, and it looks like the Inferno is gonna be too much. That Zephyr Lynx is not going to be long for this world, I do not think, unless is he gonna make me eat my words. It's up to the Monarch and the Lynx battling out one-on-one. It is going to go over to the Monarch. Just got enough quick shots here, so it is gonna be Nefer taking that one. Going to the college for the summoning. I do not think I will be at the summoning. I don't think I have any business there, to say the least. Ma is also on Death's Door as well, only 2 HP and a dream. Does have that one item that does grant true sight though. Get that onto a fist fighter or something, that can be absolutely devastating. And a fight there, Frodo barely going to take that one. So that was the item that deals a percentage of the target's health and damage as well. As apparently my cat wants to join in on the commentary as well here for this one. Ooh, shiny mammoth. Yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to it, but we will see. I've been a little disconnected, to say the least. Of course, riding along here with Ma to kind of see what they're going for. So the 5 bulwarks, I've been seeing quite a few people trying to pull this off again. So they get the reflective damage, the Harbinger, it's tanky but also giving damage, and now 2 rogues. But of course, this is the NPC round. We'll be able to get some more items and more credits towards their characters momentarily. And one thing I'm actually very surprised here for Ma as well, like, I get wanting to keep the Greater Monk here, the monkey in the yellow, loaded up with the items there. I get wanting to keep it, but this monkey, I don't know. Anytime I go up against an Earth team, for example, I never am upset about the monk here, to say the least. So I'm very, very surprised to see that he actually put a ton of items onto the monk here compared to, say, like the Grilla or something like that. You do see a pretty even spread, though. Some items onto the Sepphoris for ability power, and oddly enough, what was I just talking about? Immediately swapping it out and puts the items onto the forest. That makes sense to me. Meanwhile, you're going up against the rogues coming out here. I believe this is Frodo. 6 rogues, plenty of firepower, but plenty of tank on the other side. Ma fighting for his life. 2 HP and a dream. The Axon's the first one who's getting extremely low. Watch out for that ramp fight. It's going to be popping up in a second. That monk here is not long for this world. Neither is the Ranger. Sepphoris is going to take some of that as well. Gets it to about half health. But these rogues are low. They are falling, but so is the Sepphoris. It's going to jump to the skies and immediately get taken down, but there's not enough firepower here for Frodo. It's all up to the Penguin, and the Penguin cannot verse 5. Ma is going to stay alive here with 2 HP. But it kind of goes to show how all in the Ramfy line is, whether it be the Ramp Fighter, Ramp Fire, whatever it happens to be. It relies so heavily on that ability being right in the right spot to deal its damage. It did still lead the team in damage, but barely, because those abilities did not quite hit the mark compared to the other ones. Ma going up once again, but we have the fighters, we have the Zephyr Links, we have that ramp fight once again. It's looking to go right towards the center, but at the same time, all of these characters, for the most part, inside of Ma just want to run away anyway, or it's the tank, so it's not necessarily getting the most amount of value, but that Zephyr Links coming out here on the green side is just shredding on through. Ramp fight up to the sky is going to do damage to the tanks, but again, it maybe takes like a quarter, so it's not too bad. But look at this forest over in the bottom. It is all cracked out and just flying. It's now the 1 on like 5 here. Never mind, 2 on 3, my bad. But it is going to be going over to Ma once again. The forest, 10k damage that battle. Absolutely ridiculous. It's probably the highest I've seen one Illuvial do in one round. The reason why that thing is a tier 5, and if you level it up, you get it evolved. It is an absolute menace, and this time, Detective Alané up against Ma. Both of them have a forest, one has items, one doesn't. However, what Detective Alané has is an extremely brutal front line alongside these fighters that are giving attack speed and damage buffs. So that forest might have the firepower, but does it have the speed and support? We'll have to see. Riplance, Axodon, Cardilox, there's so much here for the forest to have to try and tear on through, and it goes right for the big tank of the Cardilox. And to be fair, it's barely even done a dent into the damn thing, and this is going to just swing things all the way over to the favor of Detective Alané. That is going to be the big taunts coming out here from the big bull as well. And the Riplance, that Scorpion in the meantime. The Lynx, they get to go absolutely nuts. Sure, the Goliaths might be invulnerable for this time being, but that's not going to last forever. Stabby, stabby, goodbye. That is going to be another elimination. Ma going to fall out. How many people fell out in that round? We went from 6 or 7 to 3. Damn, this is where I wish I had multiple observers. But my goodness, that's quite the swing in this matchup here. And the big one to note as well for the Dream Ladder is that Naraba is already eliminated. He was tied with Detective Alané for the lead in the ladder. So that could be some longer term implications here for later on. But we have, once again, Detective Alané, Zico Perico. And Detective Alané have the lightning strike twice. That Blotto and that Gnarl we've seen before is an extremely tanky combination to have to go through. But can they deal with the constant firepower from Detective Alané? The Lynx is going to fall. The Riplance is going to fall. The sustain is too strong. That looks super convincing coming out here from Zico Perico. Oh, Zico Perico, might be the first time we're seeing you here on the stream. But with how convincing that looked and how much I love healing-based compositions, I am a fan. I feel like chat's gonna call me out in a second here, so it's like, okay, so you like being a dick in games. Well, man, I guess kind of. But this is what I love to see played out. The 6 natures means it's constantly healing any missing HP. It has the item as well, the green one that has the circles on it. I can't remember the exact name of it, but basically it heavily increases the amount of healing your entire team gets. Meanwhile, on the other side, we're seeing the slash in here. This is the tier 3, I keep saying tier 3, but the fully evolved penguin that just relies purely off auto attacks, and every attack that it gets, it is getting more and more attack speed. If that thing gets left alone and untouched, it becomes an absolute menace. As we see this NPC round go on down. In terms of who we're going to follow, I think because it's an odd number, one of them has to go up against a ghost. So we will go with whatever one is actually 2 people playing against each other. And it looks like that is going to be Detective Alané versus Alnert. Zico is going to end up going up against the ghost. So We'll roll on in here. 7 fighters, maxed out on fighters, berserkers as well. Very, very devastating composition. You can see they're positioning the tanks at the back. Normally this seems stupid, but this entire team composition here on the side of the red side is all based on jumping into the back line, so these tanks are going to catch it, and they have some serious firepower. Of course, the ramp fight is definitely one highlighted pretty often, but that doggo we see on the right, the Umbre, this thing is an absolute menace as well. Gonna dive on through, but it's getting focused down super, super fast. Gonna have to pop that smoke screen to try and get itself untargetable, but here comes the ramp fight, dives on through, does some pretty decent damage, but that Cardalox up on the top left side is still above half health. The polar bear and the lynx have been shredding in the meantime. They've survived pretty well. The fully leveled penguin, though, slashing his way through, up to its name. Can it get through everybody? It was down, but it's not out. Swinging away. Look at this thing go. And it's going to keep themselves in the game. Zico coming, or not Zico. Zico's the one going up against the ghost. That one was Alnert hanging on by a thread. 14,000 damage done by the Hydra, not the Hydra Lynx, the Zephyr Lynx on the side of Detective Alané, and that was not enough. That was heartbreaking. It looked like it was Alané's. It looked like it really was, but that penguin, the fully evolved penguin, was just too damn fast. Okay, Zico Perico has one of the more favored items in this game where if the Illuvial that's holding the item, it does nothing really at first, but if it survives 15 seconds into the battle, it basically gets double its health and then 15% extra damage. So whatever you put this thing on, I'm curious as to where it's going to end up going as we see Zico Perico versus Alnert. I don't think either one of them can go down if they lose this one, but it will be close. Alnert, once again, going to be heavily relying on that penguin slashing to be able to do a bunch of the damage. Meanwhile, in the background here for Zico Perico, they do also have the Ferriox, that little snake up in the top left-hand corner, just constantly spitting out damage. But so many beefy characters to try and going on through here. The big heal coming out here from the Archos. Gonna have to try and pump things up because that was a big shot here from the ramp fight. It's gonna be able to plow through a couple of them, but the snake is still firing away in the background. It's untouched. It has the power, and it's got double its health, double the attack. And actually, that is all. It might be the first time that we've seen you on this stream, but Zico Perico is your winner here in the Daydream tournament here for Illuvium Arena. A solid run nonetheless, though, for everybody as well. Alnert's probably having their best position that we've seen. And let's take a look again at the team composition that did end up winning this one. The 6 Nature, 3 Fire, Wildfires, the Bulwark, Empath, and Aegis. So basically, just tank, heal, and let the snake do the talking when it comes to the damage, as well as a bunch of reflective damage from the tanks. Just a never-ending spree of healing, just being able to hang on for so long. Oh, that was definitely fun. I enjoyed that once again. Oh, absolutely. Definitely something we're going to have to book at some point here. Now, I've got a couple weekends up ahead here where there are weddings getting in the way, so we'll have to talk about it later. But definitely would love that. Take a look at the board games. Definitely want to give them a shot still and come hang out. But in regards to tonight, that is pretty much all that we have in the books here. Gonna be slowing things down in just a moment's time. That sounds good to me, man. All right. Oh. Well, that's another Illuvium cast in the books. Big congratulations to Zika Perico for the victory. And quickly hopping on over to take a look at our Dream Ladder. What does that mean? Narrate? Oh my gosh. So Detective Alanay and Nareba both finished the ladder with 645 points each. In theory, based off of the tiebreaker, I believe it goes to the best final placement, which would put Detective Alanay above Nareba. Absolutely crazy in that instance. So unofficially, going to congratulate Detective Alanay on winning the Dream Ladder. That's 125 bucks USDC going into their digital wallet. And of course, there's prizing all the way down to 10th place, it looks like. So let's see if we got some familiar faces here in the top 10. So Detective Alanay in first. Let's actually, instead of me talking about it, let me show you what I'm talking about. There we go. So Detective Alanay in first, Nareba Oli, of course, in second. Mujiwara, we didn't see them in the last couple. We saw them in the first cast, but TFT player coming into Illuvium doing very, very strong. I think Nareba was actually a pro TFT player as well that came to Illuvium, which is pretty sick. Fruto having a good couple of final tournaments, getting themselves into fourth. Motorstormer, we didn't see him in Grands this time, but had a good couple of final ones as well. Enrique Silva, I think they went by a different name. Alnert is there, making seventh. Bounty Hunter, I'm not sure if I've seen them yet. There's Ma, of course, who won a little while ago. And then P3, I don't remember seeing. And then Nefer, so close to making that top 10, and it looks like the top 10 were the ones that got paid out, so close. Valiant effort nonetheless. Oh. Yeah. But, gonna wrap things up. It's been an awesome first month. I've been enjoying myself. Can't but complain. In certain aspects, things have overperformed. In some things, maybe not so much. But again, it's only the first month. Still going to keep trying. Of course, a little bit of an adjusted game plan going into this month. While of course I still do have my expertise in collegiate esports, and I will give insights still in opportunities where I see fit. But I am going to be going heavy into doing Illuvium content going into the month of August. Am I overperforming or underperforming? It depends on the platform you're talking about. YouTube, I would say, is underperforming. TikTok, I would say, is probably where I expected things. YouTube's just been giving me a hard time. I was talking about it a little bit earlier, but I have a few minutes to sit and chill, so I don't mind reiterating. But YouTube started off strong, but then seems to be falling off to the point where I have short form content that it goes up like hours ago that still has only a single view. But then I've had some before that have hit like 1,500, which is pretty cool. Instagram's been absolutely ridiculous on the positive though. I would say that's a massive overperformance. Especially my short form video calling out Counter-Strike for being overshadowed in the collegiate space specifically. But everybody taking it as a rage bait and thinking that I was saying that pro Counter-Strike was not a top tier esport. And TikTok's just been kind of in the middle. Oh, yeah. It's been a learning experience, to say the least. Eventually, the idea is to get the long-form content to really kind of pick up and start taking some steam. And I will say, even right now, it's an overall positive. For this very, very first month, I wasn't expecting anything to make the triple digits, and I got close, to be fair, though. The which esports, so my tier list about which esports to get into. Got 83 this month, with a couple of comments, and mostly things are positive. Yeah, and I definitely thank you for it. If you have any ways that you know of that you think you can assist on as well, that I may not have thought of, by all means reach out as well. I definitely thank you for it. But again, just to kind of reiterate, so sure, I might be going into Illuvium, but the one goal that I want to keep going as well is to keep up having one short form video going up per day. I do have a little bit of a head start, not gonna lie. I think I'm already good for the next week based off of the last couple of tournaments we've casted. Now it's just a matter of making sure that it's not strictly just battle highlights for Illuvium. Sneak some collegiate stuff in there as well as some other stuff as well. I guess that's the one thing that did actually, I kind of surprised myself on in terms of a problem during the first month. Because when, basically my idea for it has been, like, I'll do the stream, no, I'll call it a night, but then the day after and like the following couple days, just when I happen to be at the computer or something, I'll slowly but surely just edit clips. And timing things when topics are hot was something that I tried to get in there. Like, one of the things that I did end up doing was my react based off of the Pokemon Direct and talking about Pokemon Champions. So I tried to squeak it in so that my shorts happened shortly after the Direct happened, so within the next day or two of it happening. And the first two did fine, the other two did not, and then I have been on the pain train ever since then, so again, still learning. I wish I could make sense of some things. I definitely recommend it, because for PLA, for Pokemon Legends Arceus, it's a different experience compared to the Pokemon games that we're traditionally used to. And I feel like it's almost like the go-to for someone who's new to Pokemon to play, but also for a veteran as well. It's just so cool. And if you're playing it casually and not being like super sweaty about it, the game can actually be pretty challenging, which is a nice change in pace as well. And there's been many, many, many cool moments, which I will shut my mouth about because I'm not spoiling nothing for you. And with Pokemon Legends, not Legends Arceus, but Legends ZA, that looks like it'll be cool as well. I like that they kind of all in on the Xenoblade kind of style combat on it. It'll be interesting. Well, you gotta get the Hisuian forms too, yeah, absolutely. I know a couple of my favorite moments was the fact that shiny hunting isn't necessarily too difficult in that game. And I did find not a Barraskewda, whatever Basculin's evolution is called that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Can't remember off the top of my head yet, but that and finding an overquill was probably one of the highlights. Basculegion, there we go, thank you, exactly. I found the female Basculegion, which is basically like a golden fish. Love that thing. Alright, Rick's down, sorry, you got one. Or you got one of them. Yeah, we'll figure something out, 100%. Oh, I remember chain fishing too. I'd like to say that it was good times, but I also remember slamming my head against the damn desk whenever I would break my chain. Or do all this chain fishing and just end up getting a love disc. But hey, shiny's a shiny. I can't complain. Back in the day, I might have remembered. I can't remember off the top of my head, though, no. I know you just straight up could not move. And, like, put yourself up against a wall or something. I can't remember the exact thing, but I know there was a method to it. And there was an ability attached to it. I forgot about the suction cups. Oh yeah, and now I remember. I would make use of my shiny auxiliary for that exact reason. I'd bring it with me chain fishing. I remember now. I remember. I don't think I ever remembered that part. I always kept mine alive. It did make things much more difficult. Oh, we made do. Oh. Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. I can say now it'd be perfect to have the fainted thing in slot 1, put your Breloom in slot 2, all swipe ready to go, and then it takes nothing for damage unless you happen to go up against something that has Ice Beam. No, absolutely. Shiny's a shiny. I know I was making fun of Love Disc, but I just know it was because it was in X and Y. I think it was like the magic carp of that game where you just found it everywhere. But I do think it will be about time to call it a night. I do have, of course, a bonus stream going to happen tomorrow afternoon because of the major Illuvium tournament that's happening starting at 10, but I think I'm going to hop on at noon, let round 1 go by, and then start from the top 32. Like hundreds of ILV in pricing, and with each ILV being about 14, 17 bucks or so right now. It should be a fun time nonetheless. Those are either one of those would be a cool one. Nice. But yeah, I'm gonna call it up now. Rest up for tomorrow. More Illuvium action tomorrow night, and then we'll get back to your regular scheduled programming come Tuesday. What exactly is happening? Not quite sure yet, but we'll get there. But of course, thank you all for tuning in. Gear, I'll reach out to you in a little bit, I'm sure. But for now, have a great night, everyone.